Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Ishtar, Gardens of Babylon. In Ishtar Gardens of Babylon, you are working with this board to select a tile that you need to build. You're then building that on this board. Any of these crystals or gems that you've managed to put your garden down on will allow you to get different combinations of gems, which will allow you to buy these trees and the points that are on each card. That in essence is the game. So how does it actually run? On the very first turn, whoever's playing first, so we'll say that the blue player is the first player, they will place this watering can on one of the piles that is available to them. And they might place it on this one. They then take this token or the tiles that are underneath the watering can and place it somewhere on the board. The first place that you must place is next to one of these four fountains. There are points for having the majority in a garden that is coming off a fountain. So at the moment, no one owns this, but it will be owned in a second. Whoever has the most number of flowers, so there's one flower on that tile that's been put down, next to that fountain, will get the points for that. The white fountain is worth 8 points at the end of the game. The red fountain's worth 6, the purple fountains are worth 4. So because there's a question mark on that tile that's just been put down, they're able to do one of the two other things. The other items that we're looking for is that picture, which is put one of these guys over the top of that picture, or the star, which means that you get to, if you have enough, put 2 of your gems onto one of these bottom spots and do what the bonus says. You can't touch this top line until you have the bottom line. So now that he's taken that, he could then on a future turn take the top one, but he couldn't take these top ones. So he might read a question mark as if it's the man, just so he can get his guy out there. He now owns that garden. Next player has their turn. They will move the watering can 1 space. If they wish to go a second space, they could, but it would cost them a gem. If they wish to go 3 or 4, it will cost them 3 or 4 gems to also go those extra spaces. So the first one is free. Each extra spot costs a gem back to the pool. This player will then place that down, and let's say he put it over here. Of course, he's covered the 2 spots that had the 2 gems. They now become his, and there's a picture of a guy, so he claims that. So same thing. So this is how you're going to build that up. What you're looking for is combined gardens that you have control of. So this one has a garden of 1. On his next turn, he's very likely to throw this in. He now has a garden of 4. So there's 2 flowers there, 1 flower there, and 1 flower there, which is 4. And so the game goes on and on and on to build that up to get the most number of flowers in your particular garden. Other rules you need to be aware of with the placement of these gardens. Of course, I've only dealt with so far the first couple of sections of how to play, which is choosing a vegetation tile, choosing one from there, placing the vegetation tile. The other things you need to be aware of with placing the vegetation tile is that your first placement has to be next to one of these. It doesn't have to have the garden section next to one of them, but it has to be next to one of the 4 fountains. If you're playing a larger game, more than 2 players, it will have more fountains on there. For each player, there's 1 more of these boards that goes on. At least one of your tiles must be adjacent to the fountain. It doesn't matter if it's the garden tile or the grass space. At least one of them needs to be adjacent to that fountain. Once you've got one down, you can then go adjacent to other garden tiles. So theoretically, this player could actually build next to this one if he wished to. Other things to think about is you can't place a garden tile, so one of these tiles, that would connect one garden with another garden that is being held by another person, and you can't connect 2 fountains together with those garden tiles, or cause this garden and this garden to become the one garden, so there can only ever be one assistant on a tile. Once you have collected the gems from underneath the tile that you've just put down, you then have the ability to use any special actions. So if there's a picture, this one happened to have a picture of the guy. I can't put another guy there because I already have a guy in that garden, so there's no point in doing that. If I were to build that one, the picture of the star means that I can now use the gems that I've collected to claim a bonus. And what their bonuses are is if I put 2 gems on this one, that allows me to take two gems of my choice. So it's basically enabling me to get more scarce gems. So the clear ones are the most scarce, the red ones are moderate, and the blue ones are all over the spot. Them here, that allows me to take one of these single spots and place it on a spot that I wish, on one of the spots that's already been built. I can't put it on desert, it has to go on the grasslands. You can use that to join 2 spots together if you're orange. This one is the same, but with one of the 2 garden beds. This one, that releases a guy and allows you to choose one of these trees that's face up, and I'll get to what they do in a second, but just put that to the side so no one else can claim that one. And he gets an extra guy. And this one allows you to once again take an extra guy and also select one of the face up garden tiles. So he might select that one actually, and just to put to the side. With that, if you wish to build that into your garden beds, you don't move this, you just, instead of moving that, you place that wherever you wish to place it. Once you have a bottom row, you can then go to the second row up, which will, again, it'll just cost you the 2 things. So let's say he took that to start with. On his next turn that he has put one of these out or a question mark, he could go to here. And what these are saying is he'll get 2 points at the end of the game for every one of these that he has a controlled garden next to. So at the moment he has 2 of those tablet spaces. You can't build your garden over those tablets, they stay there for the whole game. If he was on this one, it would get him 7 points at the end of the game, and also it allows him to read that and that as if they're the same marking. So basically everything becomes a question mark. If he takes this, this is going to give him points for any leftover gems that he's got on his board. So he'll get 1 for the clear one, 2 points for any red ones, or 3 points for any of these purple ones. This one allows him to get 2 points for every tree that is in a spot next to his garden, his controlled garden. And I'll talk about the trees in a second. And finally, this one allows him to get 7 points for every unused man that's in front of his board at the end of the game. So he could potentially get 21 points if he doesn't start another garden with that. The last thing that you're able to do on your turn is plant trees. So if you have the gems in this space, not being used to mark stuff, but actually in this space that make up this combination, you can collect it. So he can turn in a purple and a white gem to collect that tree. That goes upside down next to his board. The gems go in because he's just paid them, and he gets this tree. This tree, let's just pull that out for the moment, could go anywhere. So if that tree happened to be built there, on a future turn, if he wishes to put this in, he can't put that there because there's a tree there. He'd have to put it over onto that side. And there's also points for if it's next to you, if you happen to choose that spot. I believe that's everything that needs to be known for Ishtar. The game continues until 2 of these piles have used up all of the tiles. Once 2 are out, everyone goes until they've had the same number of turns. So if this player is the one who finishes it, that player would get another turn. If that player finishes, this one does not get another turn because he's start player. And then we count up points. Points are from the tops of any cards that have been claimed, any trees that have been claimed. If this card is still there at the end of the game and hasn't been used, there's no negatives that come from that. It can only be positives. The total amount of flowers that you have in your particular spots. If you have the majority, so this player would have majority next to the white, which gets him another 8 points. This player has the majority next to purple, which would get him 4 points, and neither of them are next to the others. And then any of these unlocked skills have points, so anything in that little reef is points. I think that's everything that needs to be discussed with Ishtar. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Gamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.